Hi and welcome. We will just wait a couple more minutes to get everybody in through the door before we start. No, but it's crazy, the design of. Sorry, we were discussing something about technology and Xiaomi about their cleaning robots. Super interesting talk about technology, both the hardware and the software, how it goes together today. Just looking over the last 10 years. But it is really crazy, and I totally agree with the Tesla thing with the cars. But the design was right, They really had some new thoughts.
The software was right, the design was right, but the car, the quality of the building a car wasn't right. Yeah.
I read something about the used batteries and the problem when the battery dies. What the price is going to be to get a new battery for your Tesla when that happens, and the whole used car market for Tesla. How is that going to shape? What is the you can say something about car brands looking at what is the used car price, what is the after value of a car when people sell it after 5 years or 10 years. Does it hold value or does it lose value?
Yeah.
And that is something we cannot see right now, but it's going to be super interesting to see how is Tesla going to hold value when you sell it and when you buy a used one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're seeing more and more used Teslas in Copenhagen, at least.
Yeah, but still, it's not enough. It's too little. It's such a little segment right now compared to how many is being bought that we cannot really say from a statistical perspective what is the overall value of the car in resale. I read somewhere that getting a new battery equaled like 200,000 Danish kroners. I'm like, that's a lot of money for the engine of the car.
Mm-hmm.
You can replace an engine in a car today in almost any given car for less than 50,000.
Yeah.
At least in material cost.
Guess we're there now?
Yeah, guess we gotta start. Hi and welcome everybody. Today I am so lucky to have Martin Tyksen, partner in Vexo, with me. We're going to talk about customer journey and everything within customer journey. We've had some great projects together, Hello Retail and Værktøjer, and it felt like it was the right time to sit down and talk about what is this whole customer journey thing and how does it work, and why is it even important? Why does it matter? So without further ado, I'm Dennis from Hello Retail. I'm the marketing guy. It doesn't really matter. It's just a title. I work with everything marketing related. Usually I'm behind the screen. I sit and answer on the chat when we do webinars. Today I'm in front of the screen, and with me I have, as I said, Martin Tyksen, partner at Vexo.
I'm partner in Vexo, and Vexo is a typical e-commerce agency. We've been doing this for the last 11 years, building e-commerce solutions from smaller clients to now bigger clients like Hvordan, Konkrete, IBF, bigger Danish brands that wants to either adjust the current solution and move it a bit further, or making a brand new solution. We've seen here on the Corona that a lot of new big players are coming into the market that it was more traditional in the market before, are now going more online, and brands going online directly. We normally consider ourselves as a full service agency, or at least a full technical service agency. So we help with everything from building the shop, designing the shop, building integrations to the ERP systems, the whole order management system around how to ship, how do we optimize shipping. And then we are a completely open source agency, so we're working with Magento and Shopware. And I think we actually, in the presentation of this webinar or in the marketing of that, we also mentioned Shopware 6, and we wanted to talk a bit about that. Mostly of our presentation is not around Shopware 6, it's around customer journey that's not to a specific platform. It could be Shopware, it could be Direct Web, it could be Umbraco for that sake. It doesn't really matter. But just to touch point on Shopware. We as an agency been a Magento agency for many years. Magento had a really good place in the market where it covers almost everything from small merchants to the largest merchants in the market. They shifted focus and was bought by Adobe, and then we needed to find a new player to the market to see who would catch this big open source community market where a lot of shops were. That had to change. And we stumbled upon Shopware. If anyone has asked me before, we started looking for platform. I would never have pointed at Shopware. I didn't know the platform before, but actually it's a 20-year-old company in Germany building e-commerce software for the German or the DACH region. At some point, actually, in Germany, there was considered as the largest e-commerce platform. There were about 30% of the market in all e-commerce solutions in Germany was built on Shopware. And in 2019, they announced a new platform called Shopware 6, which is a modern technology platform. It's built on an API-first approach. It's headless. It has a built-in PWA. And it's just really nice to work with. It's easy working with, and it has some of those features that we really would be looking for, and our customers have been looking for, like a good CMS editor. They call it shopping experiences. So the marketing team, like Dennis, can actually sit, drag and drop things around, make all the content they like for mobile and for desktop. And then the whole engine behind the platform is built based on rules. So that whole personalization topic we're going to discuss a bit further as well in this presentation, and which is Hello Retail's one of those biggest things they are focusing on, is built inside Shopware's core. So you can actually go in and create segments. You can target content to specific customers. You can have VIP customers that see different prices or different content on homepage, and so on.
Yeah. So that was a little bit about Shopware 6. Before we move on, IPF.
Yeah.
So that's a concrete company.
Yeah.
That's brick and mortar going online. That's crazy.
That's an old-fashioned brand that is selling bricks and roof and everything in concrete, and they always been selling through the retail stores, never been selling directly to consumers. And under Corona, or a bit before, they actually decided that it might be time now to push further along there. It's not because they want to cut off the whole brick and mortar branch selling directly to them, but they also wanted to focus on getting that inspiration out to the end customers. So they built a complete portal and want to be like an inspiration universe for everything in concrete.
Yeah.
But you can also shop directly. And seeing how many big orders going through, people ordering 200 square meters terraces directly online, but never contacting the company before, just going in online, using some of the calculators to find out how much sand you need to place beneath, and just ordering directly online. That's quite impressive to see how far people got along with just ordering anything online. We saw the same with Netta, a Danish company selling beds online. In the beginning, for some years ago, everyone was laughing and saying, "You're not going to sell beds online that cost 20,000 kroner."
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't even have a showroom, so you can even try it out before you're buying it. And today, it's a huge company, and they're selling a lot of beds. So, yeah, I think we're going to see even more moving to online, and also brands directly moving online.
Yeah, but they have, the crazy thing is that IVF it's really a strong brand. Everybody knows it, but nobody knows it. You know what I mean? Because it's not a commercial brand. It's not like end users know. They will recognize the letters, and the logo, but from there to then go and directly talk to the consumer, that's a big shift, and it's super interesting. I love the marketing material about it, and the way the platform feels. I just wanted to mention it. It's not even a case that we are going to bring today, but I was impressed. Thomas Holm showed it to me. We discussed it previously. There was something about the marketing material that he really wanted to show me, and I was impressed because most of all, it's really an old company. So let's move along. What is the customer journey? So one of the things that you get a lot of advices from different people on on a customer journey and creating a new customer journey. I think that we talked about this, and everybody knows this case about in the plumbing section. What is a water tap called, and how do you search for it, and how intuitive is it? There was a massive shift 8 years ago where everybody was calling it by its proper name. Every supplier was calling it by its proper name, but every layman, normal person, was calling it by something else. They wasn't calling it a water tap. They were the normal people were searching for water tap, and all of the professionals, the suppliers, they called it something else. They called it a shifting battery to shift between hot and cold water. So it had no relevance to the end user, and there were no results on it. First company online to change this really gained a massive advantage, but they didn't stop there. The best thing is that they used this advantage to scale up and create a whole consumer experience where you could travel through their website and get relevant personalization through your whole shopping experience. And they kept on getting people back into their website by sending relevant newsletters asking, what project are you working on, and then what do you need now? Do you need a bathtub? Are you doing your kitchen, or are you doing your bathroom? What are you working on, so we can help you? So they have a two-way communication. I was really impressed by that strategy, and it tells a lot about the customer journey. And one of the things that why this story is relevant is mostly because you have to look at your competitors. A market today online, almost every single product category, brand, every single imaginative product out there has a market today. That means that every single market has some expectations that is shaped by your competitors. So when you're going out and designing a customer journey experience, you have to look at what are they seeing somewhere else. You don't have to copy your competitors. You need to be aware of what they're doing so that you don't go the complete other way, having your menu at the bottom or at the side. There's been a lot of weird design trends in the marketing and e-commerce sphere where you try to do something completely different and nobody understands what is happening. I had the pleasure of working with Sidecore with Norman Copenhagen, looking behind their schedule, and they had a massive change on their solution in 2014. And they had to change it back 2015 to a more traditional approach. It was amazing. It was gridlocked, and every single product was in the overview, but there was only a picture. There was no text, no title, no price. You had no idea what you were looking at when you were in it. From a design perspective, it was beautiful. But from an e-commerce and a customer journey perspective, it was completely lost. So they had to change it again.
Yeah, I think that taps into what is a customer journey and where does it actually start. If we have to define where it starts, then you can say every customer journey is actually starting with either a problem to solve or an opportunity you want to grab. For example, if we take a bike shop, that could be that a customer wants to buy a new mountain bike. Either they have an old one that is broken, then we have a problem to solve, or it could be that a customer comes in, found a new hobby, wanted to ride a mountain bike, and wanting to buy a mountain bike, then there's an opportunity. So if we consider that as the two ways of going into customer journey, we will always start there, and then the whole customer journey and how to map it is actually trying to figure out how do we target those customers and how do we follow them all the way through that customer journey, which is normally we have 5 steps when we're talking customer journey. We have the awareness. This is finding out the brand, finding out what you want as a customer. That starts actually a bit before your e-commerce company, because the customer is out searching online, trying to find out which brand do I love, what kind of bike do I want, etc. And as soon as the customer comes to that phase, they're actually moving on to the consolidation phase, where you have to consider, I'm going to buy the most expensive one, or how much do I have to use it, which terrain do I want to use this in, and so on. And this is where you as an e-commerce company can do a lot compared to the competitors, because if you know what kind of customer that comes into your site, the way you write your text, the way you present the content, the pictures, if you're targeting that persona that is actually looking for a new mountain bike, then you will win over the competitors. And a bit further on in this presentation, we will go more in detail how you describe your personas and how you try to get those personas involved inside your company. So every employee in your company is thinking of both those personas. So when you're taking the phone, when you're writing text, when you're packaging your packages, you have to think about what kind of person am I trying to reach in the other end. And after that consideration phase, we're moving on to the purchase phase. That is something I do about having a lean process, having a nice and clean checkout. So at the point where a customer is coming in, placing something in the cart, they have to have a clean checkout. There's a lot of nudging we can do when it comes to that purchase phase. This is also one of the slides a bit later on where we can push the customers to buy. We can either do it with scarcity, we can do it with trust, and so on. And then when they're bought, a lot of companies think the customer journey is ending. And I think most of those people as well in this webinar knows that it's much more expensive to get new customers than actually getting old customers to buy again. So as soon as you have a customer that did a purchase, you have 2 steps more of a customer journey on them. You have the retention, so making them buy again. That could be if you bought a bike. It could be coming down and buying some equipment or some clothes to that as well. And then the last step of the customer journey is actually one called advocacy. Because with today's e-commerce and with social media, you can actually get some of your customers to end up in that VIP sector where they will always recommend you online. They will always promote you. If someone is complaining about your company, I think Dennis told me about a case early on where he, for that company, built a small group of people that would always defend the company. So if someone went into Trustpilot and wrote that they're not sending the packages quick enough or they're sending bad products, they will always have that little group of VIP customers that will go in and defend them and saying, oh, for us, it works always for us. We always get the product fast. And getting those customers in will really benefit your business, because as a business, it's really hard to answer a negative review on Facebook, on Trustpilot, whatever, because you will always, in other people's eyes, be biased because it's your company. But if you can get your customers to defend you, it's a whole different story.
I completely agree. One of the next point here is to track your customer journey. This is critical, and I see this a lot, even from medium-sized companies. They have no clue about tracking, and I'm not talking about Google Analytics. I'm talking about not only Google Analytics. There's so many awesome tracking tools, Hotjar being critical, because the one thing is to get a mapping of how people navigate through your website. Do you primarily promote your catalog on Google Shopping and Facebook, or are you going broader into categories and themes with landing pages, or are you overall promoting your front page and trying to get people to start their journey there, because that would make the best sense in some cases. Overall, you have to know how is the funnel shaped, and you have to define if there are more than one funnel. I've seen a lot of weird funnels, and I even saw it was on a larger CMS, closed source CMS. I will not mention it by name, but it was a larger closed source CMS where people had a tendency to loop because there was no picture on the products in the checkout, so they had to loop back to check, was it the right product I put into the basket before I put in my credit card details. So I had, that specific case, we had a loop of 24% of people who looped back, which coincidentally made, because it was the same target group, they went back and then went through the purchase anyway. That made the conversion rate unnaturally high. And this is a tricky situation because there was a lot of purchases for the same target group, but it was the same existing people who were moving back and forth inside of the checkout, which was confusing the numbers. You, as a pseudo data analyst, as a marketeer today online, you have to be everything and do and learn a lot of different skill sets. But first of all, the data analysis, getting the funnel right, the whole customer journey as a funnel, see where people navigate. That is the quantitative data on how the stream is moving along. But the qualitative, finding these friction points, is really a lot of people wrote about this. Finding your friction points is key to saving and improving your customer journey overall. So it's not only quantitative, it's also qualitative when we say that you need to track your customer journey.
But actually, I think it starts a bit before, because I think you're right that a lot of both medium and larger customers are not tracking at all. But then, if you then see who is tracking, a lot of those companies have Google Analytics, they have Hotjar, and maybe 2 or 3 more tools installed to track, because that's just normal when you build a new e-commerce solution. You know that you need to put Hotjar on. But if you then look at how few that actually are using that data and knows what they have to look for, because I think that my biggest fear I see in the companies today is that they actually get too much information. We get Google Analytics, we get now Google Analytics 4. So now you have 2 different trackings. And then you have all the issues with cookings and sessions. So you don't see the right numbers, and then you get confused. I think that whole with the customer journey, I want to start it a bit before, because I think one of the things that many customers today forget about is that who is your target group? If I go out to my customers and ask, can you describe me what is your persona you're selling to? I don't think many can. No. Not in a specific enough way. Maybe if you sell jewelry, you say, but yeah, we are targeting young women between 16 and 25 years old. But that's just not specific enough. I think what most companies should do is sit down and make some personas. They need to invent some people they are focusing on. Example could be that again, the bike shop you're mentioning, I would go down all the way to say, we sit down and say, we have a persona that is buying mountain bikes. Let's say that was one of our main categories, that is mountain bikes. So the persona we can call him Dennis. He's 35 years old and he's male. He's based in Copenhagen, so he's based in the city center. And he has a yearly income of, let's say, 55,000 euro a year. So we know somewhere how much he earns and how much money he has. We can also tell him he is outbiked. We know he's been bicycling maybe for a couple of years. And the reason why I'm putting in that he's already bicycling a couple of years is because this particular bike shop is selling to people that knows what they want. They're not selling the cheapest mountain bike. So they want to target a person that is actually wanting the best. So he's focusing on brands more than price. And then we also know he's regularly shopping on his mobile. And that persona, you could actually put a picture on it as well, and then print it out, and then make 4 or 5 more, because you probably have different personas you want to target. Print them out, hang them up in the office, and then every time you pick up the phone, imagine that it's Dennis in the other end. Or every time you write a text on a product, imagine it's written to Dennis that has those personas. Because if you do that, you will hit a much more specific target audience than if you're trying to just overall write a generic text to a really large group of people. That can also help understand what we have to measure for, because then when we have those personas and we're digging down into Google Analytics, they actually have some really good behavioral reports. So, and again, Hotjar is more visually how you can see how they're browsing around. So you mentioned that VVS plumbing service, but the naming of but you have the same here at bike shop. What is a mountain bike called? Do they have different wording for it? That segment that is used to biking, that maybe is a club of mountain biking, do they use a different kind of words for different parts of the bicycle compared to first timers? And you need to go down in that and then optimize for those people you want to hit. And I think that's what we see in general happening for a lot of our customers, is that they are just writing too much of generic texts, trying just to be targeting everyone else, just because they think that the more broad you can target, you more customers you'll get. But actually, you will get the opposite.
I completely agree. Normally, I always say that I never make assumptions. This is one of the rare cases where we have to make assumptions, because if we don't, we end up shooting wide instead of focusing our efforts into something, especially in communications and email marketing. Especially there, you need to know who you're talking to. One of the tricks I've worked with have been to add a nudging into my email communication and testing who opened what email with what headline in an A/B split test to get a sense of what is triggering them to open this, just to add another layer to the profiling and getting, okay, this sentiment is greed, they love when it's cheap, some is fear, last chance, FOMO, fear of missing out, all of your competitors are doing this, shouldn't you be doing this, shouldn't you be focusing here? There's a lot of different ways you can populate and get color to the picture that you're working on painting, so that you know exactly who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But also, it's about the quantitative, talk to your customers. You need to. I had the pleasure of meeting a guy. He had a website, a web shop, and every time someone didn't purchase, he would call them and offer them a gift card in return for explaining what went wrong in the first 3 months of launching a new website. Simply just to find out every single thing that was wrong. It worked.
Yeah.
He let the masses be his guiding star into what was wrong from their perspective, from people who were actually trying to buy. What went wrong.
Yeah.
Because a movie cannot tell you everything, and Google Analytics and other systems, they will only show you a part, a piece of the puzzle. The whole truth is in the end, at the end of the computer screen or the telephone, in the sofa late at night. Who knows why it didn't work out?
Yeah. And the comment about assumptions is like, it's not because you have to sit down and make 5 personas and say this will be my personas forever. That's an ongoing phase, and every time maybe you introduce a new brand. Let's say you have a running shop and take the bike shop again, and then you get the possibility to get in a new brand. Might be a brand that you never touched base on before, and might be actually targeting a different kind of people.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get that brand in, you need to sit down, make that persona, and then trying to look through and say, how do we now targeting this segment? If you take the bicycle shop, they're selling mountain bikes. So you have a helmet normally. But you also have people that might be using a mountain bike in the city centers because they just think it's cool. And they don't want a helmet. They want that necklace thing with the airbag in it. So that's a complete different segment you're suddenly hitting and you can sell it to. And sometimes it can also actually just stumble upon it. So you can be running your shop, you can targeting dentists, and suddenly you find out, based on the data, that actually 80% of all the customers buying this product is women. And if you see that in your data, in your analytics data, then you need to adjust your personas and say, okay, why are we now suddenly hitting women? What are we doing differently? Why is those we targeting? Should we make a new persona, or should we actually change the old persona to now focusing on this different segment of people?
Yeah, and every step of the way, from the marketing to the whole customer experience on the whole page,
whole journey.
Yeah. So let's move on. When is the journey over? Well,
it's never over. Because you will actually just loop, because then they were going to rebuy, or they were going to be VIP customers, or they'll come back again for services of the bike or whatever.
Yeah.
So hopefully the customer journey will never be open, because it should be in a loop. The more customers you can actually look through and get to buy again, much better for a business.
Yeah.
It's much cheaper to gain a repeating customer than is going out on ads and buying a new customer.
Well, as a representative of Hello Retail, which one of our core focuses is retention, I cannot agree more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made on focusing on retention. Not new money, but there's a lot of money there. More than we often imagine. In a moment, we're going to pull out some concrete examples, not even all of them our own, but some solid examples of how the customer journey works, and the tools and tricks that people are using today to work with CX, customer journey or experience. But as we discussed previously, we have the assumption. We have to design from the experience from these assumptions, these personas. We have to put our stake somewhere and say, this is where we start, this is where we create something from. And then we have to adjust it runningly. We have the data and the experience, quantitative and qualitative, and then we redesign. And then we figure out where is the friction points, and for who is this a friction point? Because, as you said, you might be targeting Dennis, but you're actually hitting 80% female shoppers. That's a blue ocean, you know. Where how do we focus on those 8%? How do we target them with the same product in a different scenario where it has a higher likelihood of actually converting? Because right now it's only a small part, but it could become bigger, and it's tricky.
I think one of the key elements from this slide is also to know that you do not have to redesign everything. It's small changes all the time. So it's every time going and making an assumption, saying, okay, that was the case with what is Norman Copenhagen, you said, with no text and no prices on it. You make an assumption, okay, well, our conversion rate is low. Could it be because we're not showing the name of the product or the price of the product? Then we do a design, then we put in the price, and then we measure again.
Yeah.
Did it improve the conversion rate? Good. Then we improve that redesign. Then we start trying, what if we put in a name and test that? Don't make too many big changes at once. Take one small change and do it all over again and again and again all the time. Because that's the most important part of having an online shop, is that actually, instead of just building new features all the time. And I'm saying that as a developer as well, and an agency that wants to sell you a lot of hours for building new stuff, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to just build on top, building new features and new features. It makes more sense to go down and actually just optimize your business. So trying small things, different messages in banners, different placement of banners, different colors. It's not much different from a regular retail store, brick and mortar shop. Placing the candy a different place in the shop, or trying to just move some things around, trying to have a different color on the sales prices and stuff like that. All those small things is actually what gives much more revenue to a business than just going in and make a complete new redesign or making a new feature for something.
I completely agree. And when you mention retail stores, there's so many good examples of great customer journey, from music in the store, placing the bakery next to the entrance to the store, placing the milk at the back end of the store, like Bilka is really a good example of, you know, having the one thing you sell the most of placed at the furthest end away from everything, you know, so you have to navigate through a lot of shelf space.
Yeah, IKEA is a good example as well. Going to IKEA, I think everyone knows that you can't go into IKEA and buy one thing, because you're forced to go through the whole IKEA, and as soon as you're done after 1 hour, then your bag is full of things, because things you might not even have bought if you just was able to go in quickly and buy something. But they force you to go through and look at everything, and that could be the same e-commerce wise. Some say it should be quick to add to cart and buy, but in some cases, if your persona might be a targeting group that is wanting to get more inspiration, like taking IBF. The whole point of building IBF wasn't that you were sitting at home and then thought, okay, I want to go in and buy those Herregårdssten really cheap and then just check out. They are always more expensive than the retail stores. That was the strategy from the beginning. They don't want to push the prices online. So what they actually targeting is that you get that experience, like in IKEA. You can go in, you can see example of how to build these areas. You can see example of how to make patterns of those stones and all that stuff. So it's okay to spend a lot of time going through content and then just buy in the end. But for a shop, selling might be cheaper stuff. The Tiger stores we talked about, cheap stuff where mostly things you probably don't need. So it's mostly impulse things. There you have to have a really clean way of adding to cart, ending up in checkout, with almost no way of going back as soon as you check out. Remove all the links to go back to the product and go back to the site. Keep it very clean on the checkout and then push people to buy.
Yeah.
So again, it's very different from business to business.
Well, let's. I think. Are we there yet? Okay.
Yeah. So now we're diving a bit more down into the mechanics or the tools you can use. I think that this is also where we have all the examples. So I think the next 5 or 6 slides are actually more real examples of how we can nudge people to buy more and how we can build some trust.
Yeah. Should we skip this slide and go directly to
I think we can just go through those 4 points we have here, because I think that is actually the most beneficial of the whole PowerPoint or the whole webinar here, is that those nudging elements. I think most of our, including myself, is prone to those things, even though I know how it works. My best example is always Booking.com. have to order a hotel room.
Oh,
you
yeah.
go in, and suddenly you see, okay, there's only 2 left. And then you click further ones, and you fill out your address, and it says, okay, this is the only one left now. And even though I know it's just a marketing trick, I end up buying before instead of considering more. And you can use the same tactics. You've seen a lot of shops now. I think was it Hummel or Helly Hansen that now had a little message popping up saying 4 people bought this product, 8 people bought this product, and some clever guy on Twitter went into the source code and saw that the class on that div was just called random number from 1 to 10. So they actually just built in just a simple JavaScript pushing a random number between 2 and 10, saying 8 people bought this. Next time we refresh the page, it says 2 people just bought this product. It wasn't really real numbers. It was just a push in the direction saying this is actually being sold all the time. So that's the scarcity we're talking about. And the opposite of that is the trust element, where you can use reviews. We've seen Trustpilot gain huge virality, especially in Denmark here, where I think even though there's also people that don't like Trustpilot, most people are actually just Googling the company name just to see are they trustworthy or not. And Trustpilot will always power as number 1, and you can see, okay, I trust them, and then you buy. And then we have the personalization from Hello Retail, being able to target user specific. So you can say it's your price, or you can say, we also think you will like this based on your shopping behavior. So we know that you looked at Adidas shoes, and we know you searched for Adidas shoes. So next time you go into an Adidas shirt, we will just show you some Adidas shoes because this is the pattern you have been through on the site. And this is some of those examples we now have using those tactics.
Yeah, so let's do this. Yeah, we had the body shop. It was an amazing case. They really did well. Unfortunately, it seems as if all of the pictures on the website is down. So we will move on to another good example. I don't know if you guys know about Etsy. I was myself unfamiliar with it until it was mentioned half a year ago by one of the guys in Hello Retail. They are really smart. They really know their stuff. I wanna highlight how they start by having stars right up here, telling how many sales there are on this completely random product. It's a bestseller. You see this? There's a lot of good. It's in stock. There's a lot of things working for them here. 2,000 reviews, 5 stars. Buyers are raving. Multiple people gave 5-star reviews for this shop in the past 7 days.
Yeah. Also, just underneath the add to cart. So if you're ending up at add to cart and you're thinking, oh, should I buy it? Then just underneath, they're just saying how many people just bought this, right?
Yeah.
Or how many people have this in basket right now. Just push people again a bit to say, okay, it's okay to buy this. Everyone else is buying it as well.
So there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of good elements here moving you along the designated journey here. One of the fun things that I noticed going through Etsy is the numbers. They all use weird prices, and I tried to calculate across different currencies just to check if it fitted any logical currency, and nothing sticks. It is as random as it is specific, because what I looked through when I walked through more than 15 products this morning alone, I noticed that a lot of the products were using a price that had magical numbers in it, that had strategical numbers in the before and after price when discounting. There's a lot of priming or nudging based on price working here as well, along with everything else.
Can you elaborate a little bit? You say magic numbers. What is a magic number in compared to pricing?
Well, in this case, you have the number 3, but it's also crooked numbers. There's both the magic numbers, the fairy tale numbers, 3, 7, 9, 11. Then you have crooked numbers, uneven. They attract you. They are. This could have been 10. This could have been 11. This could have been 1099 or 1095. There's a lot of proven track record for using 1099 or 95 in the pricing, but we all have seen how it works with uneven numbers. Like Flying Tiger of Copenhagen was a great example until they started streamlining their processes. When it started getting copied and getting famous, they started moving away from it, as far as I know. I don't know if they implemented it, but as far as I know, they moved away from it. But it still works. Crooked and uneven numbers, tricky as it may be to try and price something with crooked and uneven numbers, even before and after discounts, that is it's a hard game, but it is a proven nudging or priming method, though it never stands alone. There's a lot of different nudging going around the price, but the price is a factor as well as everything else within it.
I don't know if it was Etsy or one of the other cases, but one of the things I always liked was that normally you went to shopping, you put something in the cart, and then you know that you can get back to the cart 2 days later and still in your cart because it's probably safe the cookie or you're logged in. But some shops are now beginning also to push you to buy immediately because then when you add something to the cart, it says your cart is reserved for the next 30 minutes. So you're already reserving the stock amount in your cart instead of just doing it when the order is placed. It might be it's just a marketing trick and just writing that, but it could also make it technical, so it's actually reserving that product for 30 minutes. And that could sometimes help push people to buy instead of just adding to cart and thinking, okay, I will look at it again tomorrow. Because as soon as people start to say, okay, I will look at it later, I'll look at it tomorrow, the chance of them coming back is small. Instead of just having to buy immediately.
I actually read that abandoned cart emails, they work the best after 3 days.
Yeah, okay.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Because I have set up internationally abandoned cart systems with Hello Retail for small and big companies. I've never set it to 3 days. I've never even considered it, but it was done on a massive test with more than 100,000 potential purchases, and the results were clear.
Okay.
It is across Europe. Apparently, 3 days is the rule. It goes directly against everything you would assume. Again, here the assumptions they take a huge role in what you think about something.
And that's the good part of being in an e-commerce business or an online business is that we can measure everything, we can test everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on. There's again, Etsy is a great example. I wanna pick up the front page as well. I noticed this morning. I love this title here: Love, Support, and Etsy. You know, it's just great how they succeed in using linguistics as well. You know, the content is so important, and the prices, as you can see, they are completely random. It is, yeah, this is so weird. We talked about Metas. It's a huge store. Deserved, undeserved. That's a big question. It is probably a bit too big, and they are really ambitious. I read about them going full circle. They want to do like 25% more next year, and it's crazy. Considering how messy the look is, there's so many things going on. The whole concept of keeping it simple is completely lost on Metas. Their website there's so many options and buttons to click compared to at least Etsy, where you have at least 1 million products more than Metas. But what they really succeed in
is retention. And the whole gamification reward part of I think, not knowing the numbers exactly, but the retention rate of a shop like Matas is much higher than usual if you see in the market in general. And one of the things they did right in the beginning was that Matas Club, I think most know about it, and that gained them a huge amount of people that was actually always buying, and they was able to, through the app, push notifications saying, okay, now you can get this product cheaper, or now you have points enough to buy this, and all the time being without a cost, being able to push messages to a huge target group that already bought at Matas and already used to buying the products.
But they're really smart. You know, they started being this free membership club, and one of the first things they did was when you signed up, you got this little token here. I have it here.
Yeah.
My wife gave it to me because that was hers, and it made no sense for me to create my own. So they actually sent two, you know, one for the husband and one for the wife, you know, to complete the household. That is really brilliant, you know. And now I've seen that you can become a VIP member and pay for certain benefits. Yeah. So they started rolling this out a long time ago. I've had that thing in my wallet for at least 5 years, I think. Slowly adopting it into the culture, and getting people to come back. Now moving on to a more aggressive perspective where you start to create recurring revenue into memberships where you pay to get benefits for those where it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's really smart. And it's a long-term strategy. They've been thinking about this for a long time before executing, building up the whole platform before launching a priced tier. That's really...
I think, yeah, definitely. And one of the other key takeaways from Matas is someone here at the webinar is also having a company that is selling their own brand with a lot of other brands. So you're probably selling a lot of different normal brands, and then at some point you make your own brand, a white label brand. Then also look at Matas, how they do it with what's called Matas Striberne, where they make their own series, and how they actually promote that every time you're looking at a product that is not a Matas product, but it's a product where they have a competitor to it, they are always on a non-intrusive way pushing their own product in from the site.
Yeah, but everything, you know, on the, you know, you see you get 7 points. What does 7 points even mean in reality? I have no clue. I never checked what the point system was worth, but you get this clearly below the put into basket. It's really smart. Let's I see the time is slipping for us because we talk too much.
I think we have one last example.
Yeah. Let's talk about cykelekspert.
This is also one of those that use a bit of scarcity. You see one stick today, there's one piece left.
Yeah,
so
over here.
It's actually both a new product, but it's also saying that we only have one in stock. Just like any other business, I think that this business line as well was also hit by Corona and getting enough products on shelves. So being able to push to customers saying, we only have a few left, buy it now. Makes it an easy sell. So you don't have to put the price down. You can actually make it an easy sell, because if you're standing here and actually wanting this bike and you know there's only one piece left, you won't wait tomorrow to buy it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And elements such as friction, you know, what size is right for me?
Yeah.
You know, is it... I've been looking at bikes recently a lot, mostly because of cykelekspert, and it's come to my attention that I don't really have a bike, a proper bike, except for an old ladies' bike that I drive with the kids. So I wanted to buy a bike, and I realized I have no clue what my size is, and a lot of the competitors are really shabby at introducing the size guide. You know, here the size guide is right next to the put into basket. It makes such great sense, because that is one of the biggest friction points in buying something so big, where you don't go and see it.
Yeah, and actually, if you click on it, you'll see that instead of sending people away from the page, it actually just opens up a pop-up telling you the most basic information. And if you then want the full size guide, which is images and how to measure and stuff like that, you will be sent away. But in the beginning, instead of just sending people to a different page, we start by telling them just a bit about how to choose a size, instead of just sending them away from the product.
Yeah, because you don't want to ruin the journey before it even starts.
No.
Right? So one of the things that we love, mostly because it has something to do with both of us, is Hello Retail, it's Værktøjer, it's Design, is for every bike. There is some equipment that's already there. You got pedals, you have a guarantee, that's really nice. But then there's so many things that could be added, like backlights and front lights, a lock, screens, and a supporting function. When you click on it now, it's already open. You see down here. It's not there right now, but you can add one to your purchase directly. It's what the store recommends, what is best in test from an official testing agency called Forbedre Think. One with a discount, another one with a discount, and another recommended one. This one is a funny one. It's a smart one with smart technology in it. It's really funny. So there's so many great things here. Like I really love the way that it's intuitive. But we also had a great discussion earlier today about the whole friction point of a customer journey. Is it right to put it right below the bicycle? You haven't even made the decision yet to put it into basket, and it's on the same page.
And also you get like 10 different choices between each point. So this bike is missing 8 pieces to be complete bike, or if you need all parts, then you actually probably have 80 different products you have to choose between. And the problem here is you can also click on a product and you can move your journey to the backlight, and then from there go into different category. And that can be totally fine if you want that experience, that saying that you have the biggest amount of products, so you want people to go to shopping and look at everything. But if you just want to have a few key pieces where you want to sell this, then don't push too much, because then you will have a customer going away from the product and probably never ending at that product again. So it depends on what business line you're in. If you have that like a supermarket where you have a lot of products and you want the customer to go all the way around, or if you're more like you have a few key products and you want to push them and want to buy them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And again, the third option is some business lines don't earn money on the main product, but earn a lot of money on everything that is accessories to it. And then, of course, it makes sense to also really push accessories, because that's actually what end up making your money in the end. Because if they don't buy the accessories, might be you don't even end up earning any money on the product.
Yeah. It's tricky. It could be, we also talk about Hicks law and keep it simple and short. This is anything but simple and short, because suddenly you have, as you said before, 8 different options more. This also draws attention towards the fact that it is coming bare-boned. There's nothing on this bicycle except for pedals and a warranty. This could create, in several ways, more friction than creating a whole basket, or redefining the journey so that you start by finding the optimal bike and then you add stuff to it. Again, it's something that you need to test. But looking at this compared to every other bicycle store out there, this is light years ahead. And what is right, what is wrong? There's just a lot of assumptions. You need data, both quantitative and qualitative, to figure out what is right. So let's go back. I think we got everything, all the examples that we had. Let's see. Yeah, we talked a little about search as well.
I think if you have time for questions as well, then we have to wrap it up now.
Yeah, it's been 54 minutes now.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to write, and we'll try and get out to you. This will be recorded, and we will send it to you guys as soon as we had someone look it through and make sure that everything is awesome. I hope that it is, without too much editing being involved. really thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's the first webinar we have had where we had people in here so close and not personal because of Corona. It's crazy, the whole Corona situation. We both we talked about this outside when we had lunch previously. There's a lot of movement on the online industry and new platforms and new technologies, and even the old brick and mortar companies are moving ahead in the digital sphere. What do you think is going to be the next big thing?
I think that we will see even more shops online, also in business lines where we didn't see them online. Buying a car online, buying more B2B. We're seeing a B2B market that is moving online, whereas especially marketplaces and more like we know Amazon, we know some of the big marketplaces, but the whole marketplace industry, if we look at Europe and worldwide, is actually quite big because there's also a lot of companies that could sell online as a marketplace. That could be companies that are making big machineries, but are depending on lot of different vendors selling spare parts to them. You could be first mover in that market and saying, we want to make a marketplace where we have different vendors selling all the stuff for our business line or for a whole sector. And then everyone will start shopping there, because you just need to realize that the time of you're calling in and placing an order, or sending a fax through or sending an email through, it's coming less and less. We still see a lot, especially if you're to Germany, the fax isn't dead at all. A lot of companies in Germany is using a fax.
Yeah.
But we will see them move more and more online, and I think that we will see more business lines where we, just like with Bellonetta was laughing a bit saying you'll never be able to sell beds online, we will just continue to see more complex products. We're right now helping building a shop selling cardboard, where you have to put in the measurements, where the windows should be, different key systems, Wi-Fi options, stuff like that, where you have to build everything. Many years ago, we built the same for a window company, where you actually have to go through a big configuration options. We're building it for IVF now with the roof, so you can put in all the measurements for your roof, and then actually get a full list of products you need to buy a complete roof, and things like that. I think we'll see more and more online, people ordering that directly online instead of going to a shop or calling in or emailing in.
I also think that it's about the attention span, being able to buy a complete roof with everything calculated and included. That's effective.
Yeah.
And we have so little attention span left because we're bombarded from every single angle. It takes up a lot of attention just to exist in this multiverse of impressions happening all over us. We have to try and navigate in this. So I completely agree. Well,
thank you very much for listening in.
Yeah.
And feel free to send any questions, and we will answer them by email or by phone.
Yeah.